advertising for Red Bull hardcore right now.
Yeah.
The new Red Bull pink.
It's delicious. It's actually the best Red Bull I've ever had. I think
the other
it's
one,
my favorite.
It tastes like a Go-Gurt. So if you want a blast from the past, drink.
Are you talking about the spring one, the purple one?
I think so. Yeah.
I think
the
it's
berry,
disgusting.
The berry, vanilla berry.
Really?
I think you're just a hater.
Vanilla berry.
Something like that. I don't know.
No, this is wild berry. Vanilla berry.
The other one, the blue. I don't know.
Oh, that was the winter edition. That was the last one. That was so sweet. I couldn't do that. It was good, but
I only had a sip.
yeah,
But
it was
tastes
okay.
like a Go-Gurt.
But they have another one.
Nostalgic.
They have another one. It's a spring edition. It's like a purple can, and it's I forget what the flavors are, but I can't do it. It's
You
not
just
good.
sound like a fake fan. You don't even know what
Yeah.
it's called. So.
The only Red Bull
Yeah,
I
you're right.
drink
You're
is in Jaeger bombs.
You caught me.
It's the only Red Bull I drink is Jaeger bombs.
Jaeger bombs are good. I
Yeah.
once did a bunch of Jaeger bombs at a party, and I did more push-ups than I think was humanly possible for me.
And
then
you say push-ups?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, and then the next day I
As one
could
tends to
not
do.
lift my arms.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
checks out.
Getting swole off Jaeger bombs.
Yeah. Apparently,
That's his pre-workout.
apparently you can do that.
Pre-workout.
Yeah. Apparently you can do that. So
All right. Yeah. So where do we want to begin? I mean, we got so much. So why don't we kind of do some introductions here? So Ethan.
hi,
it's
I'm
your
Ethan.
guest. Yeah. Oh, it's your guest.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Hey, welcome to the Inquiry Theory. I'm Ethan.
I'm Micah.
That's Micah.
Yep.
Across from us we have Miss Miki. She's a good friend of mine.
Hey.
And I will turn it over to her. Hey, Miki.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How about that?
Okay, first off, I kind of want to say, am I allowed to say how I know you? Or is that, I think it's kind of funny.
Yes,
Without
but not
naming-
specifically.
Yeah.
Not like no names of specific companies or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, my name's Mickey, and I met Ethan 2.5 years ago. Turns out he's actually my boss.
Yes,
Oh.
I am.
All right.
He is my boss. However, I'm a socio-political commentator, and the reason I bring up Ethan is because 2.5 years ago, when I started at the company I'm at now, I did none of this. So Ethan's kind of seen it kind of from the ground up take off.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that not only just for 2.5 years. I did it beforehand in 2020 up until 2022, but social media censorship really took that one away. So I stopped
Yeah.
for a while and then started up again.
So explain a little bit about that, what that is. Just socioeconomic commentator. I totally butchered that. I'm sorry. I was focused on.
I just consider myself socio-political,
Okay,
commentator,
socio-political.
specifically with like social issues.
Okay.
I mostly talk on gender ideology and the targeting of children with the
Mhm.
LGBTQI, whatever other letters they want to put in their agenda. I saw that.
Yeah.
You want to laugh, but you don't want to laugh.
I'll laugh.
Yeah.
You can add a plus on the end of that. That'll
yeah.
cover it.
He LOI'd. He laughed on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically just that, and also just politics in general. I went to the inauguration in January. That was pretty cool. I realized there's a lot of a misconception that because I support Trump as a gay woman, that I'm like this far-right, ultra-MAGA
Mhm.
like political
Yeah.
person. But that could not be further from the truth.
Yeah. That's today's day and age is you're
Yeah.
either all in or all out
Exactly.
according to people who aren't that educated. I mean, it blows their mind that you can agree with some things and not everything. So
Exactly. It's like extremism and just radicalism.
Yeah.
Point blank period. That's as much as it is, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That sums everything up for sure.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
cannot be in the middle without being called, even views that aren't even controversial. Like, I don't want a man in my bathroom. 10 years ago, people would be like, yeah, for sure. Now it's like, you're a bigot, you're transphobe, die. Like, it's just extreme, and it's happened extremely quickly. Since 2020, I think. I think 2020 is when the catalyst for all of that.
I mean, when you've got someone like Joe Rogan, whose whole life been a liberal and now is considered a far right commentator person,
yeah.
I mean, come on, that's a little absurd.
And like,
so.
yeah. Like the whole center of the political spectrum kind of just dissolved, right? You're either conservative or you're Democrat, or liberal, whatever.
Yeah.
The whole center aspect doesn't even exist anymore.
And it's
just kind of
also
crazy.
Just like the dehumanization aspect of it, specifically, it's like, oh, you think something different, therefore your life no longer has value. And I don't know how we got there, but it's
Yeah,
actually
it's
scary to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's
Very scary.
very scary. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's the us versus them mentality, the tribalism. There's so much going on with that. And I think anyone who considers themselves somewhat of an open-minded sees it. And I think we're coming out of an era where you couldn't say anything about it. You just kind of be the silent majority. And I think the silent majority is starting to become more vocal because they can. Yeah. I think that probably started with Twitter turning into X when Elon Musk bought it. I think that really kind of started this move away from this censorship and this it's okay to have opinions that are against the mainstream and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too, seeing the difference. Like, I myself as a content creator, seeing the difference in each individual platform with censorship specifically. TikTok, I gave up on. Never again. It's so bad. They're gonna take down anything and everything, and I realized that a lot of the audience on TikTok is just 16-year-old, like, heavily indoctrinated children who grew up during COVID on TikTok and got, manipulated into whatever ideology it may be. Instagram is, I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg was talking about when he said he was going to stop the censorship, because I can tell you right now, has not stopped.
Interesting.
But X is a completely different story. I know I can put whatever I want on there and not worry about it.
Yeah. So Mark Zuckerberg, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I listened to that episode, and I was not the whole thing. I tried to, and I couldn't do it. Like, I think I lasted like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and like the dude, like, you could just tell he was kind of.
He's riding the wave.
He was he was telling people what they wanted to hear.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He was
that's why, in terms of like the billionaire CEOs and with the social media owners, realistically Elon Musk is the only one that I think took a risk at any point in the recent couple of years. And you're seeing all the other people like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg now trying to ride the wave and do what he did, but like, they weren't out in front of it.
Yeah.
They're too afraid to do what Elon Musk did. So it's just interesting to see that it's the shift going on, and the attempt to move with the mainstream, like I would almost call it mainstream, but
what's in?
Yeah, the in crowd. So.
And I think that shift in either aspect to either side is dangerous, because for the last 4 years specifically, we saw a lot of like liberal heavy media, Democrat heavy media, and a lot of censorship of the right. And now we kind of have this shift, which I agree, we have a lot of things we need to fix, but I don't think people realize that it's a pendulum. You're going to swing so far that way, and the left is going to become so extreme that people are going to turn away from the left, go to the right. Eventually, you're going to have this huge party on the right. Yep. They're going to get too powerful and too extreme, and I think if people realize sooner, just have a level head on yourself and think for yourself. Like, we don't need to keep going to the extremes on either end. We can be normal.
The ship's going to capsize eventually if you keep doing that. It's not going to work. It's what works is finding that middle ground, finding that path forward that takes aspects of both sides without going to the extreme.
That's the most important thing is the information that's getting out, right? Like, you got to have actual information, like true information. I mean, not just like the way the left mainstream media portrays their side and then the right portrays their side. Both sides do it. Yeah. But like, what you really have to find is that true information, which is what, like you said, the Elon Musk has done with Twitter and X and all that. So
it's you need to have the facts, and you need to be able to find the facts that aren't the cherry-picked, tailored opinions and stuff like that. Because I remember there was specifically like an example of this is there was a study it was like 2 years ago now, where they did a study on I think it was transgender suicidality rates post operation, and they ended up scrubbing the whole research thing because they didn't get the results they wanted, and they were going to use that in a way to push more of the transgenderism and that type of thing. And when they didn't get the results, they didn't get their facts, they're like, no, we don't need to post this. We didn't need to post this data.
Exactly. Yeah. Case in point right there. Yeah. It's crazy.
Did you hear about the new study they just released? Or they did a study, don't quote me, it's somewhere along this. It was over 100,000 patients who underwent some sort of gender affirming care. And it actually showed that an increase in mental health issues and depression and anxiety, everything else they were dealing with before, but exacerbated and worse after receiving that care.
Yeah.
And they just published that, and of course, people aren't going to want to talk about it, but that's...
It's sad that that I think the average person would come to that conclusion. Like at the end of the study, that's the conclusion they'd come to, is like, yeah, I could tell you that this wasn't going to help like the way that they intended it to or thought it would.
Yeah, and where did you see that publication?
Gays Against Groomers posted it.
Okay.
So it's on there for sure.
Yeah. So how many other people do you think saw that? Like my point is like
hundreds of thousands of people saw that.
That doesn't seem like very many when you're talking
Compared
about a country
to the kind
of millions. So my point is like they publish it, but did they really like get that information out to?
You can't.
You know what I mean? Exactly. That's another scary thing. You know what I mean? Like all the information that's what I was saying again. Like the true information doesn't get out. You know what I mean? Which is super scary. You know?
The fact that they're capable of that, and then Mark Zuckerberg suddenly coming out and be like, I mean, yeah, we totally did do that, but like I totally didn't mean it, and I'm gonna stop. I swear.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault.
Guys, I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry.
The FBI came to me. What was I supposed to do?
Guys, I'm scared.
Your shirt.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
PsyOp, survivor. PsyOp, psychological operations.
Okay.
I love talking about this. So I have this book I actually brought with me. The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. This is the second session. There's 3 at the moment. This is specifically having to do with AI. Once you know what a PsyOp is, you're going to see it everywhere. I go on social media. If I see anything, I'm like, is that a PsyOp? And let me define PsyOp for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. Yeah.
Because once I define it, you are going to understand exactly what I mean. So this is literally the first thing in the book. Chapter 1, Section 1. Look for this. Sorry, give me 1 second. So, psychological operations, PsyOp.
Okay.
Word for word. Psychological operations are planned activities conducted by military or government organizations to influence the emotions, attitudes, behaviors, and decision-making of target audiences such as foreign governments, organizations, groups, or individuals. Now tell me if you see that anywhere at any time.
Or the United States of America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
I have gone, since learning this information, and like this book specifically has been such a help, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand the extent of the manipulation that's done through social media.
They don't. Especially
TikTok. That is 100% Chinese influence on America's youth to corrupt them and divide the country even further. And so, and that this book talks about it as well, the CCP and their role in upcoming generations in social media and basically manipulating, radicalizing individuals.
And what's the title of the book again?
Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare, How to Fight Artificial Intelligence.
Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Okay, nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has changed the way I look at everything. I was at the inauguration, and even in this instance, I referred back to this book because I remember the rhetoric going around like, oh, don't go to the inauguration. You're gonna get blown up. You're gonna get killed. You're gonna get hurt. And a lot of people avoided going to the inauguration for that exact reason.
Yeah, you invited me, and like I wanted to go. I thought that was gonna be a very good experience. But the one thing I was worried about was like, if any inauguration is gonna have some shit go down,
it's this one.
It's gonna be this one. I was like, do I want to get blown up?
Yeah.
You know, do I like? Is it worth it? And I was like, I was gonna go.
Do I have to go into work tomorrow?
But I was like, that was one of my legitimate concerns. Was like some shit could happen. You know, some yeah.
Well, so. I remember thinking during the inauguration, because I kept seeing this everywhere, and they were like, oh my gosh, these preachers are having, prophetic dreams, and they're saying that it's going to be in a hockey arena, and I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I think this is a psyop. This is something to instill fear in people so they don't show up. Nothing's going to happen. I guarantee. I mean, of course, the thought was in the back of my mind, like, okay, I really do hope nothing happens, but I knew deep down nothing was going to happen. And that was kind of validated when I got there.
Yeah.
Because not only did I go and nothing happened, but there was no possible way for anything to happen. There were government vehicles everywhere. Streets were shut down. military tank, like
they're probably F-16s flying around all the time.
There are snipers in the arena. If you look close enough in the rafters, we're like,
oh shit, oh no way,
spot the
so
sniper.
Crazy.
You're like, who can spot the most?
That's the game they're playing before it actually begins. Like, how many can we find?
It's so funny because I remember after the inauguration, it was like a 14-hour day. We were walking back to the car, and I looked at my 2 friends I was with, and I was like, guys, it was a psyop. Nothing happened.
Yeah, for real.
And I was like, it got played.
You could predict it's in a hockey arena, as long as you look at the forecast a week out and know it's going to be like negative 12 degrees. It's going to be inside. Where are they going to put all these people?
I didn't get
in the arena that's right there.
I didn't get it. I was like, why are they moving it inside? It's fine. They've always done it inside. They're trying to hide something. And then my 2 days of waiting outside in line, not only for the rally that I didn't get into because the Secret Service and security did a horrible job with that one. But in the rally, I was like, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing happened. It was fine. It was a great time. People they gave into the psyop and they got psyoped. So when we talk about psyop survivor, you can look at anything from the last 4 years, even beyond, and be like, okay, that's a psyop. That's a psyop. And it's kind of just like it's a little joke, but it's also like, okay, I have the mind to protect your mind, control your emotions is what one of the authors, Boone Cutler, he says that all the time. And I live by that. But it's kind of like your sentiment to like, I have a level head on my shoulders and I can spot the BS.
Yeah, think freely, think critically,
Yeah.
So the commentary you do on these things do you focus a lot on kind of unwinding the psyop and the narratives that have been spread and woven the past couple of years, or?
So when it comes to, the commentary I do, I have just recently started talking about psychological operations, not specifically. And I realize, and Boone himself has told me this as well, they don't want this information out there because every single time I talk about it, you're telling me there's 315,000 people on that account, and the moment I post a video about that book, 200 likes. Everything else is blown up. They
Shadow bans.
They don't want it talked about.
Yeah.
So I've recently kind of like switched over to that realm. I did an event with like Turning Point to kind of bring awareness to psychological operations, but specifically I talk about the radicalization because there is an entire radicalization process also talked about in this book. And once you see it and you can kind of apply it to scenarios we've seen over the last few years of like, wait, that makes sense. Like, let me pull this up. So there are 4 steps to radicalizing an individual, and after you get past step 2, they're gone. Okay, what do? You pray for them. There's not much you can do. Give me a second while I try to find this. This radicalization is happening through so many different things, through fake chatbots, AI chatbots that are actually programmed to pass the Turing test, which determines whether or not something is a human or a bot. They can pass these tests now.
Sure.
All of this, but
that's scary right there.
It's and people just don't know about it. And it's like people are like, oh my god, I'm getting these like horrible comments and these horrible messages. I'm like, have you considered that they're not real people?
Yeah, that they're
meant to make you emotional.
Isn't it something like upwards of 78-80% of accounts commenting aren't real?
I don't know.
They talked about that on Joe Rogan. It was it was like 60. It was like above 60. I know that.
It was a crazy amount, and I don't know if they confirmed those numbers or not. But that's the something like that. It's some crazy
kind of the
amount
accepted
that,
number.
Like, the amount of accounts that are commenting are not real.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's not the percentage of the amount of accounts that are fake.
No,
but the ones that like leave comments and stuff. Yeah. Yes,
it's
I've heard
the
that.
rage baiting, and it's the attempts. There's like, because I think people have pointed at like China or Russia, like interference and stuff like that, and realistically, it could be anybody. Like these, these bot farms could be.
Well, like Miki said, like Chinese owns and influences TikTok, right? So
100%.
if they own that app and they influence it, like how much more can they do as far as commenting on that app and other ones too? Like their abilities to do stuff like that has to be insane. You know what I mean? Yeah. It has to be.
I mean, when you got the entire country under one rule, like
like they can do whatever they want.
Corporation is beholden to
the
government.
Like imagine the United States, and everybody does exactly what the president says. We'd be unstoppable. You know what I mean? So that's super scary. Anyways, did you find what you were looking for?
I can't find it in time. I know it's
okay. That's okay.
So,
the main point is you said
the 4 steps I can't remember them off the top of my head, but basically the gist of it is, in order to radicalize an individual, you need to find something. They need to have a purpose. They need to feel like their life is in danger, that they are fighting for something, a right, their life, whatever it is. And through this, that's their purpose. That is then they make it become their entire identity. After that, they feel the need to seek justice. Mm-hmm. And that fourth step is basically you activate them. You tell them it's go time. And so we can see this specifically.
All those Tesla burnings.
Yeah, literally, exactly with that. They're activated.
Yeah.
Like, it's psychological
the assassination
programming. Yeah, is what it is.
That's crazy.
And so, like, for example, the Trans Day of Vengeance they had, I think it was a year or two ago. I love using this as an example because you can see every single aspect of how a person is radicalized in it. Basically, the flyer for it is like, Trans Day of Vengeance, we need to fight for our life. It's on this day. Like, why? Okay, how is that? How can you tell this is a radicalized individual? Because this is their entire identity. They genuinely feel like their life is in danger. They feel like they need to fight for it, and they are willing and able to go to the extremes for it. And we see it all the time. And these people, I don't think people understand, when you look at people who have been radicalized and psychologically manipulated through AI and social media, you can't look at them as your enemy. You need to look at them and genuinely you need to feel bad for them and hope that they can come back from it, because these people are miserable.
Yeah. Well, this is actually a very interesting subject. So, because if you think about it, this kind of thing goes back throughout history. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, think about like medieval times when kings would rule over an entire nation, and you had like the subjects, the subordinates, just like paying all these taxes, like, you know, working hard every day just to get, like, I don't know, whatever they were getting, you know what I mean? All the money goes to the king. And then, like, you go to, like, just, like, think about, like, warfare back then. Like, you think about the Civil War, and you got, like, control, and, like,
it's the control
it's like a brainwashing thing, right? You got, like, literally people just walking in a line towards cannon and gunfire. Like, that's kind of the same shit. Like, they're all just brainwashed, like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to march forward and probably get shot, you know what I mean? So, and, like, now it's kind of crazy because
they're doing the same thing.
They're doing the same thing, but like the ability they have to do it is so much better. You know what I mean? Like technology, broader range. You know, like it's crazy.
So I'll say this: I have not read the book. It sounds very interesting. I want to take a look at it. But coming up I was in college in 2015 or 2014 to like 2018, and that's when I became a little more aware of kind of like I'd say the political landscape. I didn't really care in high school. I mean, who really does? Hardly. Well, nowadays a lot of people care, and it's because, like you've said, they're programmed and brainwashed and that fear response and all the things. But back when I was in high school, nobody cared really, not really. So when I got to college, I started being aware of this stuff. I started seeing all these things that has the book has a way to describe them and classify them, and it makes sense of them. But I saw all this stuff, just in college, and I was 20, 21, 22, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, I didn't know. Thank you. I didn't know how to like think about it. I was like, clearly something's going on. I don't know what it is, but this is not normal. I mean, we had on campus, people putting up, because I was on campus for the 2016 election, which was wild.
I bet.
Oh my God. So anything that was pro-Trump, you had groups of students gathering and protesting outside. Like, people in dorms could put up whatever they wanted in their windows as long as it wasn't like explicit or whatever. And so you had people putting up either a Trump flag, or you had people putting up, someone even put up a Pepe meme, and that was considered a racist Nazi dog whistle. And so there were literally people outside protesting at a dorm, and they were also handing out flyers about how we need to contact administration and talk to them. And it was just, I'm like, this is insanity. I'm like, what is going on? And so it's neat to know that there's something that can kind of categorize that and explain it, because it's just, I mean, it was, and just as someone who I didn't consider myself very political, and I noticed it and saw it, and I'm like, what? It just made no sense. So.
Yeah, well, because I literally did not know what a psyop was. Like, I learned it from you. Like, I saw you had, I don't know what it was. It might have been a shirt or something. And like, I figured out what it was then, but it's a new concept to me, which is crazy.
And which is also terrifying, because what people don't know is that Boone Cutler, one of the authors, this was written by Boone Cutler and General Flynn.
Okay.
So something Boone and both Flynn, they say fifth generation warfare is what it is. So you have different generations of war, the 1st through 4th, you know, like first wars fought with rocks and stones, then gunpowder, then bombs, then nuclear war, and then you have the 5th generation, which will be the last generation of war because it is the most destructive and effective method, and that is psychological warfare, which that is what that is, and what you're seeing everywhere, and you're seeing the effects of it with right now, like just in general, like you brought up these activated Tesla, whatever they are.
Yeah, well, like, that's what I was just gonna bring up. Yeah,
they're literally activated. Like they're robot. They're told to repeat something. They're told to think something, and the moment they're given the cue to activate, they're all out.
Yeah,
you know.
And so this I know we were talking primarily focusing on left examples. It's kind of what we're focused on because that's kind of where we're seeing the most of it. Are there any sort of like right examples? Because like we mentioned earlier, it's a pendulum. It's swinging and it's moving back, and we got to be careful because we don't want it to swing too far.
Exactly.
Is there any sort of thing you can think of that you've noticed on the right that seems to be some sort of?
I think if you look in general, there's always going to be the push on one side, and then that same exact narrative, the exact opposite narrative on the other. For example, BLM. Okay, you got BLM coming from that side, but then you're seeing that same an extreme, just as extreme narrative. I'm not saying from, let me preface with, when I reference the left, I'm not talking Democrats, I'm not talking Republicans, I'm talking the extremists.
Yes, liberals and far left.
So you see the far left extremists with BLM and the riots and the burning down of whatever, and then on the other side you're going to get that same activation of people who are genuinely just white supremacist Nazis. You can see this with gender ideology specifically. Most people used to not care what you did as long as you were an adult and left the kids out of it, but then in the last few years we're seeing the left pushing it on kids and this and that, and then the right is kind of manipulated into this whole mindset. They used to be people who didn't really care that you were gay or if you lived your life a certain way, but now they're activated. The extreme ones are activated to the point where it's like, no, let's take away gay marriage. Let's get rid of all of it. And it's like there's a middle ground here, but I don't think the one thing that irritates me specifically about being into politics, and I consider myself center, slightly right, that in and of itself gets me considered a far-right conservative influencer. And even if I call out the conservative atmosphere on social media and their extremism, why are we having firework parades and they look like Donald Trump? Like, we didn't do that with Joe Biden. That's a little weird. Even if I call that out, it's like they try to cancel me too. And it's like, hey, man.
Attacked both sides.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm just calling out that you guys are both weird.
That is a little weird.
But there's definitely a lot of that on the right as well.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always going to be that way, I think. Yeah, which is kind of scary too.
I think the reason we've been using more left examples is because it has been the group that seems to have been in power for the last administration, and they've had the social momentum.
And they're more extreme.
Like, I'm sorry, you use common sense and critical thinking. Like, obviously, there's a little bit more extremism that is being portrayed by the left at the moment.
I don't really see a lot of the physical violence from the right. Maybe
which is
I've seen messed up comments and stuff, but not the physical violence.
Yeah, the physical violence is odd to me because it's if you listen to what the media at least has portrayed of the far right activists, they're violent neo-Nazis, and they'll lynch people and all this stuff, and like you said, you don't really see anything supporting that. In terms of like actual violence being done, it just seems to be kind of an echo chamber of them just saying, hey, this happens, this is crazy. And it's like, okay, but where is it happening? Like, you're saying it's happening, but there's no evidence that's saying it is.
And I've been trying for 4 years to tell people that, because back in 2020 I had attended Trump rallies. I had a shirt that had a picture of Donald Trump with like a rainbow bandana that said Pride, to like, and people loved it. They're like, yeah, you're gay, like people are saying these like Republicans, not far-right extremists, just plain old Republicans want gay and trans people dead and this and that. And I'm like, I have been in spaces, even the inauguration. These people are the coolest people ever. I'm not gonna lie. We met 2 people in line for the rally in DC, and they came with us to the inauguration the next day. We exchanged, like, we became friends, like, texting, know. And I'm like, I haven't seen this, like, saying this hateful, violent rhetoric that they're saying exists. Even now, like, I've worked with Daily Wire in the past, and that's a conservative company, and I've never
They never
reached
treated
out
you.
to me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, and they didn't care.
So this is something I wanted to talk about. Is kind of like I despise identity politics. I don't think anyone who truly understands what identity politics is supports it. It's the most outlandish, crazy idea that just because you're a certain way, you fit into this box. It's absolutely stupid. But
it goes against the entire thing that America's supposed to be.
Yeah, like free thinking, open.
Like, I mean, that's all that really needs to be said about it.
Yeah,
or should be said about it. Really.
Yeah.
You know?
So like I guess so. Your experience being a conservative gay woman. I mean, so you just said you don't really experience a lot of this from the right, hatred from the right. Like it's like you not, at least not in person. You don't see, but like I'm sure probably. Well, I don't want to speak for you, but do you see that at all anywhere in your life? Do you see any sort of anti-gay rhetoric coming towards you?
Yeah, from the left.
Really?
Yeah.
Which seems crazy.
Yeah.
The Party of Love and Tolerance is actually the most homophobic anti-gay party I think I've ever met. The far left, specifically when it comes to gender ideology, because I myself, I look this way. I'm mostly, dressed in dude clothes. That's how I'm comfortable, but I'm still a woman. The far left, this gender ideology cult is so homophobic in the fact that you cannot be gay and, present whatever way unless, you have to be trans. Like the amount of times they're like, no, you're just trans. You're just trans. I'm like, why can't I just be a gay woman? Like, what is your issue with that?
The trans identity has seemed to have taken forefront in front of just the gay identity. I mean, like before, like, and also here's the thing too is like I never understood having an entire persona based upon your attraction. I don't get it either. It's ridiculous to boil people down to I am straight, so I must be like this, or I'm gay, so I must be like this. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And so I hope anyone who is more center and they think about it, they realize that this whole I just blanked on the word. Identity politics is being pushed by one side. I really don't see conservatives pushing this at all because they seem to be, at least right now, and like we said, the pendulum hasn't swung too far, where they're more like, just be you. You can present however you want, you can do whatever you want, like you said, as long as you don't hurt anybody, don't bring the kids into it, do whatever you want. But I see the left over here like, well, if you are gay, you must vote this way. If you're black, you must vote this way.
And if you don't, it's like you're shunned.
Yeah.
Like you get.
That goes against the tolerance and inclusion that they preach. And
exactly.
It's crazy.
And like you said, there was an example of, I actually saw your post about how there was a conservative representative who didn't try to, he promoted, or he or she, I don't even know who it was because I didn't look into it.
There was a few, I think. That
were trying to push abolishing the gay marriage thing, right?
Not abolishing, but basically making it possible to be brought back up.
Okay. And so they just brought it back up as a potential issue or potential. Yeah. So that's kind of weird because that's the pendulum kind of swinging a little too far already. So it is kind of getting to that point. And that was just kind of leading up to what I was thinking. Like, if you look into the past, like as a country, we've come a long way as far as accepting people for who they are. Right.
Yeah, and I think people have forgotten that.
Right, and if you compare it to like the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, and all that, like we've come a long way, and it takes time, right? Like it takes time for like that stuff to happen, right? And the important thing is, at least for I think an individual, is for them to feel accepted in society. You know what I mean? And I think that's where I think that's the important thing, right? So you're talking about like the DEI and stuff like that. I don't think that's important. I think what most people care about is just feeling accepted in their community and their society. You know what I mean? And I feel like generally as a country, like at least going about my day-to-day thing, that's happening. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. Like I don't look at people and look at their skin color. I don't look at people and look at their sexual orientation or anything. You know what I mean? So like I feel like it's all another psyop that like it's just
that you are oppressed.
Yeah, you're oppressed. Like the things that you're being told and the things that you're watching and reading and stuff, like it's all fake. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's like going about my normal day-to-day shit. I don't see that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Until I look, until I look on the news or I look on the social media and stuff. You know? So like, I don't know. That's insane to me. That's super scary. You know what I mean? Because but what the silver lining, the hope that I find is like I don't see that in day-to-day life, which is kind of which is good. Like it's that's the light I see at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? And I just hope that kind of continues to happen, we don't let whatever's going on, let the country and our society regress. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Well, we came from such a point of unity. I think we after the civil rights movement, the country was moving in the right direction, and then somewhere along the late 2000s, 2010s, somewhere in there, that's where it just seemed to derail too far.
In 2016, about right in there.
Yeah.
That election.
Yeah.
That
Man,
was rough.
so funny story. I had two suite mates and a roommate in college when we were in the dorms, and it was during the election, 2016. And my roommate was a Bernie bro. My suite mate was a Jill Stein supporter, and the other suite mate was also a Bernie bro. And then I didn't really care. I still wasn't that involved, but I ended up voting Trump just because I was like, I wasn't that involved. So, but that's the way I was voting, and I'm kind of glad I did back then. But anyway, it was funny because nobody was asking me who I was voting for, but the two Bernie bros were ended up voting Hillary because anyone but Trump. And then the amount of ridicule the guy who voted Jill Stein got was insane. It was like, I mean, they maliciously attacked him for like a week, like verbally, not they weren't beating him up, but like you'd think they were, but they were like, I mean, they're like, how dare you? How could you not vote Hillary? This is what you wanted. You voted for Trump and stuff. He's like, no, I voted Jill Stein. And it was just funny to see because then me being the somewhat antagonistic person I can be at times, proceeded to only play Mac Miller, Donald Trump for the next week on my Bluetooth speaker. Yep. I just let it run on repeat because I thought it was the funniest thing, and none of them confronted me about it. They all kind of just lived with it, but it was funny.
But isn't it crazy? Like when you think of that, they gave that guy so much crap for voting for whoever he voted for. Even their own party can't even stick together.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the right, I have friends who voted for Harris, and I'm like, whatever, I know you as a human being, but it's like, even on the left, it's like they won't attack each other.
Yeah, I don't blame you for falling victim to a psyop. Yeah. It's not your fault.
You're the victim here. We don't victim blame. Right. So, it's crazy to see that politics has become so polarizing to the point where you can't just, and I will say, like we've discussed, it seems to be the trend is the left seems to be a bit more bonkers about this, is they will not associate with anyone who does not agree with their political views, and which is absurd because I remember I talked to my parents, and my parents were like, this is never, because I asked them, like, because this is all, I don't know about you guys, this is all I really know. Like, I didn't know, obviously, I was born in 95. I don't really remember, the politics pre-Obama, a little bit about Bush, but not much. So all I've known is this division, and I've talked to my parents about it, and they're like, yeah, it was never like this. They're like, we used to have friends who were Democrats. We would go to dinner with them. When it came to election time, we'd discuss ideas, voting, but we'd never attack each other. We'd never be mean, malicious. And they're like, now it's like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's
I remember like with the 2008 election, I was 6. I'm young, but I remember I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, who are you voting for? She goes, you don't ask that.
Oh,
yeah, that was
polite society.
That was always a thing with my family too.
Yeah,
like,
and so
polite society.
And like looking now, it's like it went from don't talk about that to like
who are you voting for?
Who did you vote for?
Yeah.
And also
before I interact with you, who do you vote for?
Yeah, no, you need to tell me before I even say anything to you.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like people just dehumanize each other, and like people used to be able to talk about politics, but again, psychological programming, psychological warfare, dehumanization is the last step to legitimate war, and we're getting there because I mean, look at this last election. I had people I had known since middle school that I considered like closest friend. 2 days after the election, blocked on everything, not a word. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, this is how much they have radicalized. This is how much they have made everyone so extreme as to dehumanize people like that, because this person, she knew me as a person. She knew my morals. She, I'm not a bad person. And she knew that.
Well, but she voted Trump. I mean,
I brought this upon myself.
Yeah, it's all you're just to blame for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
take full responsibility.
Yeah, you should. You're a horrible person.
How does it feel to single-handedly raise egg prices? So,
I'm just not the biggest fan of gay people, and that's why I voted for Trump.
So, like, I don't want to get like I have the perfect example of this, but I can't say too much about it because it's involving people that work with us, and
I'd
just
probably avoid it. Yeah.
I'm going to avoid it, but it's so apparent, you know what I mean? Like knowing what a psyop is, and
you can
see it now, and it's crazy. Like, I've heard somebody say something that was blatantly false, but it's something that this person I knew learned from being in college, in school, which is
and
like,
that's where the issue is.
That is
colleges.
yes. Like, I don't. That's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. But I know that person learned exactly what they said from hearing it in college, and it was completely false. But it was, and I know it was a narrative that was pushed by the radical left, against President Trump, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, real quick, I think we kind of skipped past a little bit about the details of what you do. I don't know if you want to share more about like your
channel
your social media and stuff like that,
or like how I do what I do.
Yeah, like like just more detail what it is, because you kind of just touched on it as like a sociological.
We probably derailed
influencer.
Quickly. we probably
we jumped down that rabbit hole real quick.
Yeah, we were like, oh yes, perfect.
I do a lot of things. I mean, I mostly like portray my message through my social.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt real quick one more time. So you said you were a lesbian, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're
way to put labels and everything, Ethan.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
God, just like
I
the
bet
left.
you voted for Trump.
I can't vote. I'm a convicted felon. So anything I say and care about apparently doesn't matter. But that was for the camera. So you're a conservative lesbian, which is weird, right? Because you're gay and you're not supposed to be conservative, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of
right-leaning at all.
That's something that makes you super unique, and I'm sure it's caused you to have a bunch of unique experiences, some of which we've already talked about. Anyways, So.
So are you talking about like, what I do on the ground, or?
Yeah, just whatever. Like, I don't know if you want to talk about more about.
Yeah, because you share videos on Instagram. That's the main one that I'm aware of.
Yeah, Instagram.
And you've done other platforms as well. And you said you've worked with Turning Point USA. You've worked with Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah.
And you've worked with, I believe you said Daily Wire, or at least you've been associated with them. So like how like
I guess my main question was, what exactly has caused you to become the influencer that you are?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and how is that, like, what's your experience been like that? Just like in a nutshell, I guess.
I think the thing that really caused me to come to this point and decide that I want to talk about these issues is personal experience.
Okay. I think that's the best kind of experience to have.
Yeah. 2016 was my first day of high school, and I had short hair at the time, similar to this.
Real quick, can we just appreciate James photobombing this entire, like, for the last, like, long time he's been, like, because he's just glaring at me.
He looks so angry.
What do you have to say to our audience, James?
Yeah. Been perfect if you meowed.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, he looks so mean, but he's the sweetest cat.
I know.
He's
I was
so
surprised.
sweet.
He was so nice.
No, he looks like an asshole. He looks like an asshole, but he's the nicest cat.
I love him.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I was thinking the same thing.
He was glaring at me as I was pouring the whiskey, and I'm like, I've got to make a comment.
But yeah, I was like my first day of high school, and one of my teachers was doing her introduction, and I think this was the catalyst. It was the first time anything like this ever happened. I had short hair similar to this. Obviously a lot more insecure. I was confused, and I don't know, I just knew I didn't like girly stuff. I didn't know why. And of course, like, my stepmom at this point had asked a few times, "Are you a lesbian?" I went, "No." But
no.
I thought you were American.
You were American?
How can you tell?
What gave it away?
Is it my hair?
So I'm sitting in class, and I always wore basketball shorts and baggy t-shirts. I was in band, so I wore the band t-shirts. I was a nerd.
What'd you play?
Percussion. Yeah. Not to flex, but like band prez right here. So.
Well, not to flex, but I play the trumpet, That's kind of better than percussion.
Kind of guy.
Yeah. We're the best.
Exactly.
Burn.
But,
trumpets play, everybody else drools.
Yeah, you just proved my point. No, but it was the first day of high school, and one of my teachers is looking around. She's like, "My name is blank." And she's like, I respect everyone here and whatever you identify as. And then she's like looking around and she makes eye contact with me. She's like, and if anyone here happens to be transgender or wants to go by any other name or anything, just let me know. And I was like,
targeting?
This feels oddly personal right now.
Well, see, that's crazy because in her mind, she's probably thought she was doing the right
thing.
Exactly.
But like, you're probably like,
I'm petrified.
like, oh my God, like, no, like, I'm good. Like, please stop. You know, that's crazy.
And it wasn't the first time a teacher did that either. Similar.
Oh,
it was my sophomore year, and it was gender bender day. I was so
excited
to wear my brother's clothes as if I didn't already.
Wait, hold on. Gender bender day?
Yeah, they no longer allowed that shortly after because apparently it was like transphobic and like really offensive. I don't know. I lost brain cells.
I think I just did too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Getting them back.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ethan's gonna go look for him.
Yeah.
I was like, shit. Where did?
And I had a teacher. She was one of my teachers, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a boy today." She goes, "Honestly, I really thought you might have been trans. Are you like, you know?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm 15 years old."
What does that mean? What trans? Huh?
And so like these things kept getting.
I like
brought
looking
up.
at girls. Like, like what? Huh? Like, what are you talking about?
Transgender? No, and then I remember I came out, and after I'd come out as 17, then I kept getting more and more of the narrative of, gender, trans being trans. I had people being like, "Oh, do you want a binder? You're really masculine. Like, maybe you should just get a binder. Are you sure you're not trans since you're like masculine and you're attracted to women?"
So they pushed the trans more than they accepted your identity of lesbian. That's sorry.
That's wild.
You're right. Thank you for correcting me.
That was a little too much, but
yeah, thank you for correcting me, Ethan.
Yeah.
But like that's wild because it's like it's just accept me for who I am. You don't have to try and force me into this box that you want me to be in because for some reason it's way cooler to be trans.
Yeah, and it just didn't make any sense. And like I don't think people realize like she may have been thinking she was doing the right thing, but pushing these ideologies onto vulnerable individuals, girls or boys, especially during a period in their life where it's already awkward, puberty, and it's already you're confused, like it is detrimental. Like this sent me into a deep depression of like, am I trans? I considered it at one point. I asked my stepmom for a binder while standing in the kitchen making dinner one night. Thank God.
3-ring or
yeah, right.
1.5
3-ring or
yeah.
But thank God she said no. She's like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, you just don't get it.
You don't understand what I'm going through.
But I'm looking back now, I'm like, thank God I did that. But basically that kind of started this kind of snowball effect of like, wait, this is getting too out of control. And I kind of just saw things getting more and more extreme. And then it turned into it went from like that to, why are there 7-year-olds on the internet transitioning? Why are there 12-year-olds being put on,
Wait, hold 7-year-olds? Like actually?
Yeah, legitimate. Like,
that's crazy. How old are you?
22.
Okay.
Yeah. Why did I have to think about that for a second?
I have to do that all the time. I'm like, oh yeah.
No, but that kind of just, started that. And, I've kind of spread the message and the awareness and also whatnot through social media, but also on the ground. I've traveled to various states to take part in different protests and events and speaking engagements and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Even locally in Nashville and Franklin and whatnot. I don't do as much now just because I can't find them. But I would
the protests.
Yeah, or just like.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. If there's not as many protests, isn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know.
I never thought about it like that. That's smart.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Like, we're finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, that's what that means.
They've been listening.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
So you do boots on the ground, going to these events and stuff like that, and speaking.
So you got to the point where you actually put in like physical effort
time, yeah.
and like your own personal time into fixing this issue, which is crazy. And you said you started thinking about this stuff when you were 15 years old.
When something
is when you
felt
started
wrong.
when something felt wrong. That's insane. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for you for like recognizing that at that age. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
And I'm just gonna throw us out there. I mean, it's very scary because there's statistics out there that show that I think it was 82% of trans women, if they had not been transitioned, they would have been gay men.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's something like 82%. And
yeah,
that's absurd.
See, that's the point I was trying to get to, because I don't like, this is a tough subject for me to talk about, and I'm sure you to talk about, because I don't really know what it's like. Like I have no idea. You know what I mean? And I can't imagine. I can kind of imagine from what you just talked about, but like how that makes somebody feel. You know what I mean? Like being told that they need to think a certain way, or that whatever they're thinking is wrong. Or
I'm old enough to remember when it was like just asking, like it was like before it was a trans issue, it was like asking the kids if they're gay was the big boogeyman, and it's like, okay, well, but then they move so far where it's like, okay, well. The gay thing, it doesn't really matter. The trans thing, we got to see if they're trans.
So I guess what I'm asking is like what trans means, that you're switching your gender?
Yeah, from one to the other.
Okay. So so they're pushing people who are gay to become the opposite gender.
Well, masculine.
It seems like they're maybe in the closet still, or they're not fully aware of who they are yet, and so that confusion leaves them vulnerable to the point where then they come in with the trans ideology and go, okay, well, that confusion is transgenderism. Whereas if they were left alone, they would have figured themselves out and they would have sorted them out and just been a gay man or whatever.
And like another thing I don't think people realize is that there have been a lot of studies done showing, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but studies done showing that there is a correlation between people who identify as transgender and a history of abuse, being abused. Whether sexual abuse especially is a big one, a catalyst, trigger for that, but just, abuse in general. And I think, that's
James, get us those numbers. He'll work on that.
But hold on, you said like they identify as being transgender, so that means that they're identifying as that they have transitioned, or that they want to transition? Like, what does identifying as a trans mean?
I guess.
It's a self-defeating term in my opinion, because if someone, like, for example, and I'm sure I think there's activists on the left that try to fight against this, but like when you say, oh, that's a trans woman, they're like, no, it's just a woman.
Exactly.
It's like no, it's a trans woman. And like, so there's even dissent among the ranks on the left on this, because I've seen people on the left go, no, trans women are women, calling them trans women is transphobic. And it's like, okay, and then you got the other left who are like, because they're the furthest left, and then the closer, more moderate left are like, wait, what? We thought they were just, you can call them a trans woman. And it's so funny to see that infighting anyway.
Exactly.
I see it, and
they can't even agree on their own side.
No.
Huh. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy.
So.
What about the sports thing? Can we talk about that?
Yeah. I've done,
yes, tell us, please.
I work with I'm like an affiliate for XXXY.
What is that?
What is it? XXXY?
Yeah, it's an athletic clothing brand. I don't know if you guys know who Riley Gaines is.
Yeah. Yes.
She's one.
I know her from Joe Rogan.
That was very enthusiastic.
Yes.
Well, no, because
I love Riley Gaines.
I do.
And do you have her number, by the way?
I think her shoulders are like freakishly large for a woman.
She's a swimmer.
She's a swimmer.
That was a joke. I know.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Well, we got so offended.
Leah while we're at it.
But no, it was a super controversial Joe Rogan episode. Was he had Riley Gaines on, and she talked about her experience losing to whatever that that dude's name was, girl, whatever. Leah. Yes. Sorry, I don't know. I'm trying not to get offensive, but I don't really care if I get offensive at the same time. So
it's like,
anyways,
But
yes, I know who Riley Gaines is. So continue.
Oh yeah, but she's one of the people who works alongside XXXY. Finally, this is kind of ironic. There's a girl who was the volleyball captain at University of Nevada, Reno, and she spoke out against their volleyball team competing against San Jose State, which had a biological male on their team. The irony of that is I went to UNR as well, and I grew up in Reno, and I was so excited. Her name's Sia, and I got to meet her. But anyways, I also work with... What?
So a biological male...
Oh, my God.
No, I'm just trying to clarify this.
I know.
I haven't wrapped my head around all this, so I hear so much about it, and I'm interested in it because I think the common sense answer to all this is pretty common sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like a biological male would be the same thing as calling a trans woman, correct? A man who's transitioned to a woman is still a biological male, correct?
Yeah, it's still a guy.
So it's it's terms that each side uses,
yeah,
but that mean the same thing, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Sorry. So XXXY, this company, they're basically, you have Nike with people like Dylan Mulvaney, pretending to be a woman, this and that. XXXY is like completely against that. They stand up for women's rights in their sports and whatnot, because things are being taken over. 100. There was a track race. I don't know where I saw it on my feed. A biological dude in the women's category. I think it was a high school
smoked
track
him
meet, in like by 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane for a track meet. Like 7 seconds is a big ass gap.
Yeah,
that's like they
Pretty sure it
pass
was
and
like
like
the
you're
400
like
or
looking for
something.
the other.
I think
You're
so.
like,
yeah, because the 7 seconds in a 400 is wild. I ran a little bit of track in high school, and like, wow.
I hear the argument all the time. People are like, you know what, trans women should be able to compete with women because after enough transitioning, they actually are the same as women. And I'm like, actually, I think you're stupid, because no matter how many hormones you go on or how many surgeries you have, that's not going to change the bone density.
Nope.
That's not going to change the size of their heart. That's not going to change lung capacity.
Yeah.
All these things
These genuine,
make men.
Exactly. Genuine
know?
biological differences.
And another thing, like Riley Gaines lost by how much?
I forgot, it's like a tenth of a few tenths or something.
So can we say like how amazing Riley Gaines is?
No, literally impressive.
Like what the fuck? That's crazy.
real
She
quick.
almost beat a dude.
She almost beat
tied.
him.
She tied, and they gave
She
him.
did. Oh
Yeah,
yes,
they
They
tied.
gave him the trophy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what they said. They gave, which is even crazier.
So Riley Gaines beat a dude pretty much. She did. I'm gonna count it. She won.
Yeah.
No, she won. She won for sure.
They're,
That's insane.
Did you ever hear about that? The tennis player. He was like 400th or something. Some dude.
No.
And so it's crazy. So it was Serena Williams. There was some women's match of tennis, and they, for some warm up or whatever, they decided it'd be fun if they had some dude from the audience or from the stands or whatever come in and play against Serena Williams. And I think it was Serena Williams. It was some other really like professional woman tennis player, and this dude was ranked 400th in the men's, and he smoked them. And he'd been drinking.
Oh my God.
He was in the stands drinking, and they called him down just spur of the moment. Came down, played. They didn't even score I think they scored a point on him, and then he smoked them. And it's like, that is like one of the biggest examples of like there is a complete difference between men's and women's categories.
Well, so my thing with this whole the men and women's sports is, and like I said, I don't know a lot of the details of hormones or like any of the science behind any of this. But common sense tells me that we made a women's league because women can't compete with men, correct? Right. So like
transphobic.
Yeah, that's
that's just like what you were just saying. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sure it does to like whoever, you know, trans people maybe. I don't know. But sorry, I'm a few cups of whiskey in, glasses of whiskey in.
cups. Dude, just got like just a giant liquid measuring
like
cup.
like
Pour
a
out
cup.
this one time.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, it seems like if you want to be trans, that's fine. But we made a league for women because they couldn't compete at the same level that men compete at physically, right? So why don't we make a league for trans people?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Don't you think like if you don't want to compete against men, like you shouldn't be able to compete against women? So shouldn't y'all just compete against each other?
Yes.
Don't you think that's the most logical? Like if you like,
it's funny to see because people never complain about women in men's sports.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
It's like I think in that case, like
because they don't dominate.
It's not the same. They're not dominating all the men.
And right.
They're aware they're taking that risk of.
Like you play
sport,
you play sports and you like anything competitive, you want to win, right? So obviously women aren't going to go to a men's league, right?
The arguments I see about just the whole coming from the left, and once again I want to reiterate, like you said earlier, the far left, the pendulum stopping point, and now it's coming back. That left, the argument they always say is like whenever there's a man talking about the women's sports, and it's like, well, you couldn't beat her. It's like, yeah, I'm not an athlete. Like I didn't train.
I haven't trained for years. Years since I was 12 years old.
Because I always see this as some sort of gotcha where it's like because like men are stronger than women. Yeah, but you couldn't beat her. Yeah, I don't compete. Like
good observation.
Yeah, like
you watch
anyway,
your microphone, dude.
I know it's bad. It's all over the place. But I do have a funny story about how like because it sounds like there's a movement going on where kind of like the L and the G in the LGBTQ want to just separate. They want to secede from LGBTQ+.
Yeah, because we're getting a lot of that like.
Well, that's your whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we're getting a lot of the rhetoric, and a lot of people were pushing the extremism, and they're just kind of putting it on the entirety of the gay community. And we're it's kind of gotten to the point. It's like there's a difference between lesbian and gay and transgender. Okay, one of them's a sexuality, one of them is an entirely different identity. Like
that's my
it's hard to explain, but
no, it is hard to explain, but it's not hard to grasp.
Exactly.
Right? That's my whole point with the separate league. Like, yes, like you're not a male, but you're not. I'm sorry, you're not biologically a woman either.
And like that's offensive
like
to them.
yes, like in your mind, you are, which is great. Like if that's what you want to be, that's fine. Like if that's how you identify, that's great. But physically, you're not, and that's like
you have to acknowledge that.
You're like you have to acknowledge the fact that you are different, which is fine. Like it's okay to be different.
Yeah,
but you're not a woman. Like you're just not.
Yeah.
Like. And that's just common sense to me. Like that's not. That's not. I hope that shouldn't be offensive.
Well, we've traded objective truth for personal truth at some point in this country, and it's just insanity.
Like I don't see what happened. Hold on, can you identify objective for me? Like when you're talking like this, because
facts,
I hear that like on
facts, data. Like,
okay, gotcha.
Like you can't. Yeah, you can't. It's
okay.
It's
a fact.
Yeah. So objective truth has just been thrown by the wayside for everyone's personal truth, and I cannot stand this because it has so many logical loopholes where it's like, what if my personal truth conflicts with your personal truth?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but everyone's personal truth is true. So how do we interact and mingle if I fundamentally don't, like, you can't exist in my truth? And so I that's why I can't stand when everyone goes like, all these people like this group, the left, it just goes, they're like, well, my truth is this, my personal truth is this. Like, no. Your opinion is that, or you feel that way. The objective truth is, sorry, you are a male or you're a female. You can present however you want, and you can do whatever you want, and you can act that way and whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to understand you're still a male. Like it's like, and nobody's faulting that. Like everyone, like that's fine if you're an adult and you want to do that, that's okay. You just got to understand that you're not changing reality.
And like I've met plenty of like I have trans friends myself, and I've met plenty of other trans people who like. Blair White, for example, okay, a trans chick, she will straight up, yeah, I'm a man. Okay, glad we're on the same page, and we don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
Conservatives love Blair White for the most part, except for the ones who have like gone a little too far that way.
The pendulum swing.
Yeah, exactly.
Was she on Fox News? Did I see her?
I don't know. Probably. I don't know.
I think I saw her talking. Yeah, which was actually really cool to see because she was speaking up against a lot of the.
Well, I thought Fox News hated trans people and would never have one on.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
No,
I'm pretty sure that's who I said. Because I mean, like, I'm
being facetious.
I'll be transparent and say that's transparent. The news. Like when I watch the news, that's what I watch because yeah.
Because you're a bigot.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah, probably.
Yeah, what's wrong with this?
Because I'm transphobic,
Straight white.
Like,
your opinion
I'm scared of gay people.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm sorry. I always thought that term was so funny. Transphobic and homophobic. It's like, dude, we're not. No,
like I do not get scared. I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't scare me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing threatening about your aura whatsoever.
No. At the very least, I find you intriguing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
are you noticing this divide then in the LGBTQ community? In the gay community, I'm just gonna put it that way, because listing all the letters every time is So
community.
Yeah. So is there some divide that you've seen being a part of that community
between the LG and the T?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. The other creators that I associate and work with and whatnot, they're on the same page of like LG, okay, T, okay, Q. What is queer?
I don't know.
I don't
ask
get
that. Okay, what's the difference between lesbian, gay, and queer?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Just like to be unique.
Did you know I used to play a game called Smear the Queer?
Oh my god.
When I was little.
Yes. Wait. I love this generational gap, even though it's not much of one. But like,
it's not. It's 10-year gap.
10
so
years,
you're 20. You said you're 22. I'm 33. So 10 year. We'll call it a 10-year gap.
You couldn't imagine a game called Smear the Queer.
I played Smear the Queer in elementary school.
Yeah.
Crazy how times change.
Right.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you, but it's basically
transphobia is deeply rooted in this country.
Well, no. Let me say, like, Smear the Queer wasn't like.
Queer means the odd one out.
It wasn't a gay thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
We weren't smearing gay people. We were smearing, like, the queer was just like the whoever was chosen to be.
Yeah, the odd queer means the odd one out. It's
right,
and it is.
But even then, like, the odd one out wasn't like what we would call like a nerd back then. Like all
right, you got to wear this wig. You got to wear these shoes, and we're going to tackle you. Hold this football, and we're going to tackle you. You're the queer.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that.
No.
But that's crazy though.
Yeah.
Like we used to smear the queers.
So many terms I don't even know what they mean anymore.
I know. That's my point. Like, it's crazy.
I'm sure they'd be up in arms if they heard you say that.
He's probably on some sort of list now.
Yeah, you're on a government watch list.
Well, as a felon, I'm on the FBI watch list already. So.
Ethan's like, you can't intimidate me. I already am.
You're like, actually, I already checked that box.
Yeah. So yep. Convicted felon? Yes. Are you fucked? Yes.
Do I have any rights? No.
Can you vote? No.
Straight? Yes. White? Yes.
It's funny because
yes.
Ethan gets to play the card every election cycle. Ethan gets to play the side party that has no involvement whatsoever. You get to be the one that you can abstain yourself from. Like, well, I can't vote, so it's not on me.
Anything I say doesn't matter because
it's not my fault.
Don't blame me.
You get to play both sides.
Exactly. That's what I love to say.
I play both sides, so that way I always win.
Yeah, that's what I like to say. Like, I can't vote anyway, so
it's on you guys.
Know.
Yeah, it's on y'all.
He knows.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Yeah. So, would you consider yourself then? How you've been doing this for how many months now? 6 only? About 6 to 8?
No. The social media?
Yeah, the social media.
I started this account, the Political Mixture, specifically February of 2023.
Okay.
So 2 years.
Okay, so 2 years, a little bit longer than I was thinking, but still relatively new.
Yeah, for this new one. Yeah, I did some TikTok before that. That got banned at like 70,000 followers. So then I was like, I'm done with this. But the new era of like, actually getting out there was 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. And so let's shift gears a little bit. Being a content creator, because that's what I would consider you as, and I'm sure you consider yourself.
Yeah.
Walk us through kind of like that, give us a little like a sneak peek into it. You can, whether you think it's this amazing fun thing to do, whether it's I'm sure it's a lot of hard work, and just kind of what it takes to do that.
I mean, it's definitely something I don't regret.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. But it does kind of get to a point where it will burn you out. Just recently, like a few weeks ago, I just hit a breaking point and I burned out, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I debated. I was like, I'm just gonna stop. Can't keep doing it because it's exhausting, and also just like being in the social media world with other influencers, and like I've gotten to meet a lot of the people I've looked up to, political people, over the years, but doing it, I'm only 2 years in. Some of these people have been doing it for a lot longer than that, and I don't know how, because it genuinely is so exhausting. And also, the one thing I've noticed is like I realize people have stopped looking at me as like a human being and start looking at me as more like, oh, you're someone on the internet. I know everything about you. And I think people don't realize, like, just because you see me on the internet, you don't know everything about me. And I didn't know it was ever going to get to this point, and I don't regret it, but I did lose a sense of privacy with it.
Gotcha.
There's that fear every day. Am I going to get doxxed? Am I going to get swatted? Like, is someone going to find my address? Like, if I'm
What do you mean swatted?
Basically, they will find your address, call the police, and say there's a hostage situation.
Oh, yeah. That was a thing with like
They
video game streamers.
They did that to some other creators that I know in Nashville last week. They swatted them. And so, like, of course, you lose, you kind of, you deal with that, and you go out, and I love meeting people. Don't get me wrong, I love meeting people, but I had to learn very quickly that don't leave your house on a bad day because you're going to be having a bad day and someone's going to come up to you, and which is fine. But I've had to kind of adjust my life around it. Like, do I have the capacity to interact with a complete stranger today? No, I'm staying home, and
Gotcha.
I don't think people really nobody really understands that aspect of like being on the internet and this and that. Like, it's a lot and it's exhausting, and losing that sense of privacy. Like, I went to a restaurant, I went to Drake's. The server recognized me, super sweet dude, but I look over and I can see all the servers he's telling everyone, and they're all looking at my page and they're all gawking at me, and I'm having a serious conversation with someone. I'm there to meet up and have a conversation, and I can't even get that. He's eavesdropping, he's coming, and I know it's like he was just excited. This person was excited, and
yeah, it's not malicious.
Fine. But at the same time, people they forget that you're still a human being. You still live your life. You still go out. I still go get groceries. I'm a 22-year-old girl just living her life. I scream at my phone every once in a while.
I thought you were trans.
Everyone thought I was trans. They still do.
No, that's crazy though. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not something I regret, and I do enjoy it for the most part. It's just those little things have had such a big impact and have been such a big adjustment. Like even at work.
I was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, last night at work, someone recognized me, and I told you about it.
So we can say that we work in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So I'm her manager. She's a server at a restaurant, right? We're not gonna say which restaurant, but multiple instances you've been identified.
Yeah, there's only been one bad instance at work. I had a table. I walked up to him. It's like, hey guys, my name's Miki. They go, we know, and they get up. They don't say anything else. They get up and they leave and they walk out. And I went to Ethan. I was like, I just had a table walk out. Like they recognized me.
I can't imagine the fragility of their mental fortitude to do that. Like that's so insane to me.
And that's very that was pretty much like the only negative experience I've had with a hater. But most people are 99% of people are amazing. Like I had a table last night. She's like, are you a content creator? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my god, that's awesome. And she was sweet and she loved it. And I've had a few other customers come in who recognize me. But at the same time, when that happens, again, there's that fear in the back of the mind. It's like someone who recognizes me knows where I work now. I need to trust that they're not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Because especially with this job, I don't want to lose it. I like this job.
Yeah.
So,
it's a pretty fun job.
It is. But yeah, I mean, those are the things. Like I have friends come to me be like, I want to start content. I want to do content. And those are the things I tell them. Like if you're serious about it, you're going to lose your sense of privacy. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to burn out. Like it's going to happen. And I actually I got texts from people just last week being like, are you okay? Like you look exhausted. Like you're not posting. Are you okay? Like people notice. And like, because it's a lot constantly, every day, day in and day out, but I enjoy it, for the most part.
What do you enjoy most about it? Like, what do you enjoy about it? Because you just listed off a bunch of things that you didn't enjoy.
Yeah. I think knowing that I have reached enough people, or reached not a quantity, but I have reached people who needed it. I recently did a photo shoot back in November called Butch. That photo shoot was basically a representation of my story growing up with gender ideology pushed on me. The photo shoot included me in an outfit. It's a trans outfit, basically, like a very masculine side, and then half a very feminine pink dress. The one half of my face was
I saw that.
Yeah, one half of my face was the trans flag, the other half was hyper feminine, and basically it told a story of like masculine girls were growing up and being told that they either have to be like feminine girls or they have to be trans guys and they can't just be tomboys. And with that specifically, as well as like a lot of my other work, like I get hundreds of messages a week and comments, so many people being like, I feel like I'm finally seen. Like I grew up, I got so many stories, and it broke my heart after this photo shoot of people being like, I was told I was trans and I genuinely thought I was trans, and I started hormones and I turned, 17, 18, and I realized that's not who it was, and I feel like I can't get my body back, and I wish someone had told me before I did that it's okay just to be a masculine woman, to be a tomboy. And I know that a lot of people have been helped, and I see a lot of people come up to me face to face and even say that, like, hey, the stuff you talk about, like, I finally felt like someone had heard me, had understood what I'd gone through, because a lot of masculine women are targeted and they just can't grow up being women. They're told that they're trans men now. And to know that I've been able to help people discover themselves more and know that it's okay and that you can look whatever way and not be trans, like that really is like what keeps me going. It's just knowing that like people are being helped. Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah,
that's heavy. That's super heavy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's good knowing it's probably good knowing that you've had an impact, a positive impact on it, even just one person. I'm sure that is probably amazing.
That's super deep.
Ethan's like, I can't handle that.
Like, no, I can. I'm saying like that's awesome.
Yeah, well, that is definitely a side to it. That is, I think it also comes with the territory of the content you do put out. I think it's very different than just a purely entertainer. Like I feel like, not to bash entertaining content creation, but you're entertaining. Well, you don't have a deeper purpose to it, and you've got this message you're trying to get out there, and you've got this message, or this very positive, uplifting, freeing message for a lot of people, and it's good to know that it's doing something. So,
thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah,
and I think just like in general, just specifically when it comes to like masculine women, just all the stories I got. And, like, I have so many screenshots, like dozens and dozens of screenshots of the same story, just in a different font, basically. And it's heartbreaking.
It's just wild.
And to know that these people had to go through it. And yeah, I went through it, but not to the extent they did, because this is 2016. These people went through it starting after that, when it was more normalized to get hormones and puberty blockers and this and that. And genuinely, my heart just breaks for them. Like, I'm so sorry they did that to you. And a lot of these people, like detransitioners and whatnot, they're never going to get their body back. No. They can't have kids. They can't breastfeed their kids, and that's the heartbreaking part of it.
It's the biggest reason why I think that.
Well, I'm sure, like, yeah, it's like, I'm sure you know better than anybody that's the biggest heartbreaking part of it. But another heartbreaking part is, like, they were just, like, so conflicted with who they are as a person.
And there wasn't anyone to tell them that.
That's super fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to tell, like, somebody who is already struggling, probably, like, going through puberty and all that, like, with what the normal is and what they are, and they're told that, like, they're this, where really they're not. That's insane. It's crazy.
It's interesting because it's a parallel to what it was like probably 20 plus years ago with being gay. That's definitely probably what a lot of what they faced. 20, 30 probably by now. We're getting old. So that's a lot of.
Don't tell my dad that.
Yeah. That's a lot of what they faced back then, being gay, with just accepting themselves. But I would argue it was never to this degree, because it was back then, it was just like, oh, you're not gay, you're just confused. Okay, well, what's the worst possible case outcome in that scenario? Is you just hide who you are. Like, you hide who you are, and there's no damage whether you come out, or there's no long-term medical damage you do to yourself whether you come out or not. In terms of, like, oh, I think I'm trans, take these hormones. Oh, I think I'm trans, let's do these things. And then, like you said, it's irreversible. They'll never get their bodies back. And so that's where there's a parallel, but it's not the same. It's more damaging now with the trans movement, because it's much more is at risk. It's not just their emotional state, or not just their being comfortable. It is now their bodies and their future that's on the line.
And, like, I can't stand it, because even if, like, just think about it, look a little deeper. It's not just about having a trans kid. It's about telling your kid that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, and they need to do everything in their power to change it. And I talked about this earlier. There was a video, and Dylan Mulvaney was in it. And this podcaster was talking to Dylan Mulvaney, being like, oh, yeah, like, if a 4-year-old comes out and it's like, God put me in the wrong body, just like you did. And I responded to that video. I'm like, what 4-year-old knows that? A 4-year-old is not born inherently knowing that they're born in the wrong body. And at the same time, why would you affirm that? This podcaster had said to Dylan, like, God, what if a 4-year-old does what you did and said, God made a mistake, put me in the wrong body? Like, and it goes back to what you said, objective versus subjective. And I remember thinking, and not to get, like, all preachy right now, but like, I'm like, why are we telling children that there's something fundamentally wrong with them, that they must change, do everything in their power to change, so that, in every aspect, change yourself, what you look like, but, like, why are we accepting and affirming this belief that God made a mistake? Because last I checked, God doesn't make mistakes. And yet we're going to tell a kid that, yeah, God messed up with you. Got to fix that one. You really think that's going to help them feel better about themselves?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we telling kids, hey, no, like, you were made this way. You're great. That's perfect. You're fine. And just because you want to look a certain way or be more masculine.
Nothing's wrong with
you.
Yeah. And especially when we got so close in the early 2000s to that true freedom of, like, you can be whoever you want to be, love who you want to love. Like, we got so close to that, and then it just tipped a little too far to this point where then the trans movement got involved. And I got an interesting story. I had a buddy in college who he went to college for clinical psychology, and I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm gonna mess this up.
What is a clinical psychologist?
Basically, he'd study what is wrong with people mentally, and what can be done to fix or alleviate those issues. And he wanted to do that clinically, so he wanted to practice and help people. But he never continued. He got a 4-year degree and then dropped it. And I found out why he dropped it. It's because when he was going back, I think it was like either his sophomore to junior year or junior or senior year, doesn't matter. But he left that spring semester, came back that fall semester, and a lot of what he learned about gender dysmorphia and body dysmorphia and, like, all that stuff was thrown out the window. And they're like, now it's just trans. And they're like, when you are seeing a patient who claims that they are in the wrong body, you have to talk to them about why they feel that way and how you can help them affirm it. And he goes, whoa, that's not what we just learned last semester. We just learned last semester they have body dysmorphia, and it's a diagnosable condition, and we can prescribe them things to try and help them. And they're like, no, they're trans. He goes, what do you mean they're trans? They weren't trans 3 months ago. What changed? And then that's when he finished the degree, but he never went back. He stopped. He's like, I can't do this. He goes, I'm here to help people, and that's not helping people.
It's all for the money.
Yeah. So it was
money.
It's just an interesting. It's an anecdotal statement of someone I know that was in that change, like when it shifted. It was really crazy.
And it happened pretty quick too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. And like even just on that, because you made a comment, you're like, body dysmorphia, you can prescribe something for it. Well, that's only one thing you can prescribe, Now, if you're transgender, you're going to have to get the hormones, the puberty blockers. Don't forget about the surgeries. It's not just one surgery. Most people have to go back for multiple follow-up surgeries to fix whatever it is. And that's money.
All the while you're still taking that pill for the dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's like...
I would, I don't want to get too into the actual operations, but I've seen what it takes, and it is mutilation. It is just... It's horrible.
To do it to children? Like she had a double mastectomy by 15, I believe, is what it was.
Yeah.
15 years old, and they said, yeah, you can chop off your breast, go for it. And by 18, she had detransitioned and started telling people about it within 3 years.
Yeah. It's
oh, wow.
We don't let kids, this argument's beaten like a dead horse, but we don't let kids get tattoos. Why would we let them transition?
Yeah.
They can't make these life-altering decisions. They're not fully developed yet, not mentally ready.
We just recently moved the smoking age from 18 to 21,
Yeah.
And you can chop off your dick. The fuck or whatever.
Ethan, I need some more whiskey. Damn it.
Yeah. Sorry, Mom, but damn.
Yeah, that's definitely some heavy stuff. To get away from it, I will say this, kind of a funny story, because I want to try and lighten the mood from that, because it is a very serious topic, and it's very sad.
No, it is, yeah.
And it's tragic.
Maybe you should process. No, I'm just kidding.
I need a second to process
this.
Yeah. I might need to go see my therapist after this, honestly.
Ethan's over here looking for a therapist.
Oh, here it is.
Yep, there it is. So
let's
Ethan's like set up for joke and execute.
Go.
So I have a quick kind of funny story. It plays into the whole separation between the LG and everyone else. This was 3 years ago now. I was in Florida. My wife and I were on vacation, and we met this guy at the bar. I can be somewhat of a social butterfly sometimes, and I like to kind of, he was by himself, he was just chatting, and we were sitting at the bar across from him, so we started talking to him, and we started drinking, like him and I started, drinking, and turns out he was gay. He was like in his mid-30s, and then we were going like drink for drink on martini, so I might also be gay, we don't know. Kidding, bad joke.
Tell her the story about the swingers.
Yeah, yeah, I know. My wife was looking at me. She goes,
"Took you a while."
She was like, "Since when do you drink martinis?" I'm like, "Shh, I'm blending right now. I'm blending in." So we were chatting, and he was hilarious. He's so funny. We started talking about trans, and it triggered him. Holy crap! He goes, don't put that B in the T next to LG. He goes, I want nothing to do with them. I'm one of the OG gays. He goes, I was gay back before it was cool. I was gay back when it was difficult to be gay. He goes, I don't hear nothing about the trans movement. They did not persecute. And he went on, and I was like, okay, all right. I was like, I am a little too drunk for this. But go for it, dude. Shoot your shot. Keep going, having fun. So
I hope wherever he is now, he finds this clip and he sees it.
Oh, it'd be hilarious. I'm pretty sure I'm friends with him on Facebook.
He was that cool?
Yeah. We were supposed to go see him the next day. He was gonna show us around because he was a local. I was too hungover, so.
Yeah, from your martinis.
Yeah, the martinis got me.
Coming out is a big deal. So.
The gays can drink. Let me tell you what.
Yeah.
I've been to my fair share of gay bars back in Columbus.
Big heavy pour.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man, that's no joke. That's why me and my friends we would go out to the gay bars, like no joke,
purposefully.
A, free drinks, and B, heavy drinks. So it's like
bang for your buck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah,
He's
that
got
was.
a point.
He does. No, yeah.
It was fun. It was so.
He was hustling.
My buddy, my other friend, you've met him once, but I'm not gonna say his name. Not gonna out him.
Okay.
Well, he's not gay, but I'm not gonna out him in this. But we went out
Not
to
that
a
would be
gay
wrong
bar.
if he was.
We went out to a gay bar and we ran into some high school people we went to high school with there, and they like looked at us and we made eye contact and we're like, we gotta leave. We gotta go.
They're gonna think we're gay.
Like they were gonna come over just like we knew all along.
Then it looks even worse. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? What do you mean you knew?
Yeah,
I'm
they're like,
still not gay.
yeah.
You go home and cry.
Wait, this is a gay bar? All the topless dude bartenders around. You're telling me this is a gay? What? No.
I thought this was a male strip club
Yeah.
for women. Like, wait, why am I still here though? Wait.
You dick! You said they're gonna be strippers. You didn't say they're gonna be men.
Inclusivity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Why
right.
are you gendering?
Yeah. I didn't ask them if they were men. I just assumed.
Did you ask if they? Yeah. Don't assume.
Well, I'm sure once the. I'm not gonna go there. I was gonna say once it got along far enough, we'd find out. But.
Don't just assume. You should really know that by now. It's
So-
2025.
Anyway, lighten the mood there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is heavy topics, but it's good to know that there are people kind of out there, you know, bringing this awareness. Because I'll tell you right now, with someone who was not really involved in this at all, didn't know much about it. I always kind of felt like, and I'm moving back a little bit towards like the pendulum swing and like kind of like the mass psychosis or psyop and all that stuff like that. I mean, like I said earlier, it kind of felt like there has been something going on, but you could never had the words or definitions to put to it, and it's pretty obvious once you say it. So
once you know, you will never look at the world the same.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's like we've been talking about the gay community with it for the past hour, but like it reaches far beyond just that, you know what I mean?
With
like,
the radicalization specifically, and like
with psyops.
Oh,
like
with
just with
that,
psyops in general, like it's like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere and
you know,
everything.
that's the deep state.
The
Right?
I mean,
the deep state.
tinfoil hat moment here.
I remember the first time like we talked about I forget what we were talking about.
Who?
You and me.
Oh.
It was we were doing your checkout for the day, and we were talking about something, and I mentioned the deep state, and you were like
I think
like
it's
literally
a
you were
while
like
ago.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was like when and you were like, you know about the deep state? And I was like,
Yeah,
I've been
someone
talking about the
says-
deep state since I was 16 years old. I called them the string pullers back then, but now it's called the deep state. Like, yes, like it's crazy.
Someone says that term, and it's like, okay, I see you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, like I got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, my whole thought on the whole like tinfoil hat here is where did this start? Where did these psyops start? Like, I mean, I know we've talked about a little bit about it.
That's
CIA.
what I was talking about, like the history of it, like the psychological like
CIA,
manipulation of people goes back fucking thousands and thousands of
MK
years.
Ultra.
Well, but I'm talking like in modern day in America, like MK Ultra.
When did it
Project
start?
Mockingbird.
Not saying when it started, but I'm saying when does it really become like weaponized to the point that it's recognizable as what it is today? And to me, I feel like that's towards MK Ultra, the 50s, 60s era,
yep.
is when it really came into what it is now. And like you said, technology just kind of let it explode even further, because then you don't have to have like before they were only limited by how far they could reach in terms of physical presence and you know the groups they can reach and talk to and infiltrate. But now it's like, I mean, it's they're so far.
Everyone's accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone, even you. Like, I said this. I had an event with Turning Point, like Williamson County, a few weeks ago, and basically I told them, I'm like, look at your feed. Go open Instagram right now. I bet you it's gonna be all right wing, whatever it is. That's fine. Mine is too. But if you're not aware that that's the only thing you're being fed, and there may be some alternate reality out there, you're just as much of the problem.
Yeah, it's and that's interesting, because then once we get to the psyop, we can get to an agreement where it's no longer left right. It's you know, Americans being manipulated.
Exactly. And I wish the sooner people realize that and wake up, the sooner we can be done with it.
Yes.
Like, stop being stupid.
Preach.
Just like that, bro.
Yep.
The
Keep
alarm
going.
clock's going off.
Keep going. What do you mean?
Dropping fat bars over here about people being stupid and asleep.
Well, they are stupid and asleep.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. They're asleep.
The alarm clock's been going off for years.
It has.
And they just keep hitting.
I don't know.
Snooze.
I hit snooze like for an hour, literally. So can't blame
hit
him.
snooze so much. I've called him to wake him up to come record. dude falls back asleep. Not once, twice at 4 p.m.
It's true.
That is.
Yep.
I got here at 4 p.m. When did we start recording? 7:30.
I don't want to hear anything about being late to work ever again.
Do I ever give you shit for being late?
I'm never late.
So example, he never does.
Hey, no. The one thing that I do not ever give anybody shit about at work is being late. Because I like
you are late.
like oh, they call. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm running like 20 minutes." I'm like, "You're good, dude." Like, don't worry about it.
I used to
like,
do this thing where
I can't
would
say
call.
anything.
I'd be like, oh my god, I'm 2 minutes behind. I'm in at 4. It says I'm gonna get there for 2. I would literally call, and this was like 3 months ago, not that long. I stopped doing it because it got annoying to them. I know. Oh my god, there's an accident. I'm gonna be 2 minutes late. Either be like, okay.
Wait, you're still coming in?
Like,
you're not just
like,
leaving?
Okay, just letting you know.
Yeah, you're not calling out. Okay, fine, bye. Thanks. I guess.
Yeah. I was 4 minutes late the other day. I'm like, they know I'm on my way.
Yeah. like my experience, like I've gotten so bad, like I don't even worry about it till I'm past 15 minutes late. You know, like I'm driving in the car, I'm not stressing out, so I'm gonna be there.
Mr. Incredible meme, I got time.
Yeah, I got time.
So much
Yeah.
2 hours late, I got time.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been a really fun conversation.
Yeah.
I've had a blast. We don't have to be. I just thought that was a good.
Well, I don't know. Like I want
stopping point.
Like we could be.
I thought it was upbeat. I thought it to leave on a pleasant note. But no, if you have something you want to talk about, we can certainly talk about it.
Well, I'm here to see if Mickey has more she wants to talk
Mickey,
about.
if you want to talk about something else, we can certainly talk about something else.
I
just thought it was I thought that was a natural.
I don't know, honestly. I'm thinking, I feel
Not
like
to be inflammatory. I thought that was a natural transition point.
Yeah. I think
that's transphobic.
And we're back.
And we're back to square one. Let's start over.
No, I mean we could be done.
No, we don't have to be. Ethan is very considerate. Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to bring to the table? Mention?
Well, like I'm just saying, like we've been talking about a very deep topic for a long time. Like I don't know if we want to talk about like some other things. Like it doesn't have to be just a podcast about transphobia. You know what I mean? That was my whole
like,
thing.
I'm gonna beat the haters to it. We're transphobes.
You know, like that's all. Exactly.
You can't call us that if we call us that ourselves.
Exactly.
We beat you to it,
you know?
on that label.
Like I don't know. That's all I'm trying. Like I don't know. We don't have to just talk about that.
Then
you know?
suggest something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like we're just sitting here talking and you kind of cut me off. So.
I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm saying that you cut us off. You cut the conversation off.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I might have. Then I am in the wrong.
I didn't.
No, it's okay.
No.
Mickey, what are your thoughts on the weather? I'm kidding.
And like this is the point where we could cut it all out. You know?
No, I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving it. You don't do the editing. I do the editing. I decide when I actually want to work and when I don't. I don't want to do the work on this, so it's staying in.
Well, I don't want to cut any of this out. I'm just saying like this is this is where we would end it back. You know, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean we still got playing time. Like I got nowhere to be. Yeah, I'm fine.
I mean, I feel like we covered a lot. I can't think of anything else, but if you want to keep going, we can keep going.
I don't care. Like we can end it. We can keep going. I just thought we'd leave it up to you if you had anything else you wanted to talk about or. Yeah.
I can't think of anything else I'm talking about. I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah. We did.
Because we kind of covered
good
what you do. You kind of covered a lot of what's going on, psyops, stuff like that. And I think we've successfully hated and pissed off the trans community. So thumbs up on that one.
Can't wait for the DMs.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We jumped right off the deep end into this one, buddy.
They're typing it as we're speaking right now. So.
Yeah. I don't know.
If anybody in here doesn't have anybody to hate on, feel free to hate on us.
No, just him.
Just him.
Just me.
No, don't
just me.
put us with them.
Yeah, I'm not. Don't lump me in with him.
Well.
I might be a straight white male as well, but I'm not like that.
Yeah, and you can't hate me because I'm not a straight white male and I'm a minority and I'm already oppressed,
there you go.
So.
Boom. She's oppressed. We're oppressing her right now by continuing this.
I'm very scared for my safety right now.
Blink twice if you need help.
She looked at the camera for that one.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I've got some more to say. How about this? I'm going to leave all that in because who cares?
Exactly.
It's our podcast. We can do what we want. I'm leaving it in. So what do you do to kind of like unwind and relax? Because you expressed how kind of stressful it is, and now how much benefit you did get out of doing what you do with the content creation. But how do you like unwind and step back from that? Because you mentioned you are kind of in this lull where you're kind of like getting a little burnt out. How do you like get to that like do you stop before you get to the breaking point and come back from that? Or is this?
It's kind of like a new thing I'm trying to figure out how to do, because it's not something I've had to deal with before to this extent. Because even when I do want to try to get away from it, to take a break from it, I can't. Because I still go out in public. I was having a really bad day last week, and I got to work, and someone in the kitchen came back to me and was like, "Hey, that table, they recognize you." And I'm like,
have you tried a fake mustache?
I'm gonna try it on next time. But like, it's kind of a new concept to me. But like, I've never had to deal with that, like I said. But for me personally, I'm just kind of like a shut out the world to kind of decompress and kind of like get my mind together. I'm like, I feel like a lot of people don't know me as a person. They kind of just see me as like this face on the internet. But like, I like to go outside. I play music. I'm very musical. I play music with my brother. He's very musical.
See,
like,
this is the shit I was talking about. You know what I mean? We did, we talked to,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. Thank you for recognizing that in not so many words. But
what do you mean by not so many words?
We can move on.
I'm confused.
That's okay.
It makes sense now.
Okay. All right.
So you've got some, hobbies to do, kind of unwind, but you're trying to navigate through this kind of interesting time where you're trying to figure out if you do want to continue doing the content creation. And it sounds like you do for the most part, just from listening, because you do have a good message and you do reach a good audience. And so it is beneficial to keep doing it. And you definitely get that feedback. And here's something we didn't touch on, and this might be interesting. How do you deal with, like, I'm sure you get hatred from it too. How do you like deal with that? Because I know Joe Rogan just says, don't read the comments. But I feel like what you're doing, if you didn't read the comments, you wouldn't see the good you're doing. So you've got to kind of filter that out. James, you're coming on to the bar here. That's fine. You're welcome. Feel free. Now he's going to go back down. Okay. He is very soft.
He got what he wanted. He's like, yes, she's petting me. Yes.
So yeah, how do you kind of navigate that, the negative stuff that's thrown your way?
It used to, when I was doing TikTok back like 2021, 2022, it used to really get to me. Like, I took it so personally. And then when I started the Political Mixer in 2023, at first I was thinking, oh my God, I hate it. I'm not doing this again. But then I realized it stopped getting to me, because I realized a lot of these people, I went from like, oh, you're an ass, to like, I genuinely feel bad for you. Like, okay. You're obviously sending me these horrific messages. I have people being like, I hope you get sexually assaulted and killed and this and that. And I'm like, obviously there's something so deeply unsettling within yourself that you need to address. Like, I'm sorry and I'm praying for you, but like, it doesn't get to me as much anymore. And also, I have been, blessed enough to have a platform where most of the people on it, 90% of them, 90% of the messages and 90% of the comments are positive and, in agreement. It wasn't always like that. It takes time to get there, but even the hateful ones, I get them, I get threatened all the time. But it just goes right over your head at a certain point, because it stops having an effect. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a very optimistic way to do it. Sounds like you figured it out. So that's good to know, because that's something I know a lot of people struggle with whenever I am listening.
And it is
Jerry
hard. It is.
Yeah, I'm
first,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I've always said this before. Humanity's the propensity for good versus evil. It's so much easier for humans to be mean and nasty and vicious than it is for them to be good and righteous and spread good and love and stuff, because it's so it's so much easier to resort to the one than the other. And so it's no shock that that's kind of abundant for anybody, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I think specifically people who are like also receiving this kind of hate, like, of course it's like easier for you to be mad at it and this and that, but at the end of the day, I tell my friends this all the time, you being angry at someone does not affect them. You're only making yourself miserable. Yeah. So you gotta like move on and let people do whatever they're gonna do for your own sake, for your own peace. So if someone wants to send a message, sorry you feel that way, but
you're wasting your time to say this, then you're my time, and like,
I'm not gonna use my energy being mad at a person I've never met on the internet who knows nothing about me.
So then, what would you say? What kind of advice would you put out for those? We touched on a little bit earlier about those starting content creation, but not even necessarily those with content creation, but those that are in the public sphere, or even those who maybe, I don't know, they've posted, I don't know, they're not trying to be content creator, but they've posted that political piece where they felt like I really got to post this, and they do, and they get hate for it. Like what do you have anything to like say to them to kind of help them like justify that to make them feel better about, like, for example, if they shared their support for Trump in the last election, they had a family member, I'd be like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Like, do you have any sort of message you want to say to someone like that, or do you have any advice that you could give them that would help them?
Yeah, people are going to be mad regardless of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to be mad about it. You can say you voted for Trump and liberals are going to get mad and cut you off. Okay, you can say you voted for Kamala and the far right MAGAs are going to get mad and call you stupid and gay, or whatever it is. You know, regardless of what you do, you're going to make people mad. But if it's something you truly stand behind and you truly believe and you think has a purpose behind it, then just do it. You know, let people get mad. That's their own problem. That's what they need to deal with. You know, like, stop making everyone else's feelings your responsibility, basically.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a great way to put it. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Well, that I feel like is a good ending point. That's a very positive.
That's
good.
Sure.
All right.
I like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to our podcast.
For
Why don't you, for the audience, the audience we don't really have, share with them where they can
15 subscribers.
Yeah, where they can find you and and follow you if they so choose.
And I'm gonna say this: if you're not following this podcast and you're on my page right now, you need to be. The Political Mixter on everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same across the board. Okay.
Yeah, MIXSTER for Mixter.
Political Mixter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not mixture. Mixter.
Yeah, Mixter.
Okay.
You know, fun fact, real quick before we go, Mixter came from, my dad used to have a radio show, and he brought us onto his show one time, but we couldn't use our real names. He goes, "What name do you want?" And I'm like, "I don't know." I was like 10. He goes, "Oh, you're gonna be the Mixter 75767." And so when I created this page, I used Mixter, and I was like, "Dad, you know,
that's awesome.
That radio show 15 years ago, the name's back."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, look,
awesome.
Dad, I made it.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's crazy. I like that.
That's great. All right. Well, Miki, thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate having you. And everyone listening, follow her. If you don't already, I'm assuming most of you watching probably already do.
Well, I'm sure we'll put a link to her.
Yep,
we'll
put a link.
Yep.
We'll put links all over. And then if, like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the things. I don't have a good outro. I'm just gonna say it. Do the things. You know what they are. We're in 2025. You know what to do.
Yep.
So
you've been hearing this on YouTube since 2015.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what to do.
Do all the stuff.
Yeah.
So
Do things.
all right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.